barbitos is an ancient stringed instrument. It originated in Greek and Roman classical music, but is derived from Persia. It is a many-stringed instrument because of its multiple strings. There are more than 7 strings per instrument. This instrument produced deep low octave sounds and gave out erotic tones. The strings were twice as long as the Roman lyre, and Aristotle had said that it is an instrument to be used for pleasure and absolutely not for educational purposes. Castanets. The castanets are pairs of shell-shaped clappers that are hinged together with strings. A Spanish dancer holds a pair in each hand, clicking the clappers together rapidly to produce rhythmic patterns of sound to accompany the dance movements. Castanets are not used in flamenco dancing, however, as the rhythmic pattern is produced by stomping the feet. The classical technique for playing castanets is to let one clapper rest in the palm, with a string looped around the thumb. You strike the other clapper with your fingertips, knocking it against its mate, producing a tone. The cymbals. The cymbalum, or cymbals, was a musical instrument in the shape of 2 half globes, which were held one in each hand by the performer, and played by being struck against each other. Several kinds of cymbals are found on ancient monuments, and was used in the worship of Cybele, Bacchus, Juno, and other gods and goddesses. Drums. A drum is an instrument that is played by beating on a stretched membrane. It consists of a body or a hollowed-out piece, a membrane, or a piece of animal skin or synthetic material placed over the top, tuning pegs or pegs placed into the sides of the membrane to tighten or release the pressure on the membrane, which affects the sound, and the striking object, usually a stick of some sort. While most people may think that a sound is produced in the body of the drum, sound is actually produced by the membrane and its vibration. Ancient drums have been discovered in almost every part of the world, even in Rome. Drums first appeared, however, in excavation from the Neolithic era. The oldest recorded drum is from 1600. The Roman naval army used drums in ancient Rome to count out the beats to row. As they were rowing into battle, someone would drum out the beats of the rows, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth, until they reached their desired place. The harp. The harp is a stringed instrument in which the resonator or belly is perpendicular, or nearly so, to the plane of the strings. Each string produces one note. The graduation of string length from short to long corresponds to that from high to low pitch. The resonator is usually wood or skin. The ancient Romans used a large harp called the sambuca. The cornu was a Roman horn curved to look like the letter C. It was a wind instrument. The center of the instrument had a crossed piece to steady the instrument upon the shoulders of the performer. The notes were produced without keys or even holes, but played by mouth through a tube. You would blow through it. Another Roman horn was the bucina, which was made out of a shell and used to proclaim the watches of the day and the night. It was also blown at funerals and at festive entertainments, both before and after sitting down for meals. The musician who played this bucina horn was called the bucinator. Now, class, settle down. Now that we've moved back into the classroom, I can tell you about the Roman kithara. The kithara was an instrument of the lyre family. It had 7 strings of equal length and a solidly built wooden body, usually with a flat bass. It had a bridge joined to the crossbar that joined the 2 side pieces. The musician, called the kitharode, who usually stood while playing, made music by stroking the plectrum, which was, as we call a pick, as you would strum a guitar, in his right hand, right across the strings, sounding all those not dampened with his left fingers, meaning not all those held down by his left fingers. During performances, the instrument rested against the musician's shoulder and was supported by a sling that wrapped around the left wrist. Now, class, I will teach you about the lyre. The lyre was originally made from a tortoise shell from a myth about Hermes and the creation. The lyre had, depending on the instrument, between 3 and 7 or 12 strings. It had a U-shaped frame and was a plucked string instrument, meaning it had to be plucked. It was held with the left hand and played with the right. The lyre was only played as an accompaniment to songs, never a solo. as in never one song, only instrument, lyre. The lyre has given its name to a species of poetry called lyrical poetry. The next Roman instrument is called the aulos. The aulos is a wind instrument played by blowing through a reed. Blowing air through one reed to make noise on two pipes would have been very hard work. This resulted in many red-faced boys with puffed-up cheeks, and some ancient written sources tell us it caused people to make fun of each other. Foreshadows bullying, huh? This instrument usually had only 4 or 5 finger holes. Characteristically, 2 were played at once. There were 2 types. The one I have been speaking about, which is called double aulos, and the other one is called a single aulos. It's very similar to the double, except it has 13 or 14 finger holes instead of 4 or 5. Now, the aulos is very similar in characteristic and sound to the recorder today. The syrinx. The syrinx are very similar to the panpipes today. They are cane pipes of different lengths, tied in a row, kind of like a raft, or in a bundle, held together by wax or a cord. Generally closed at the bottom, that way the air doesn't travel right through it, that way it will produce a sound. They are played by blowing into the tops of these canes, and each open pipe creates a different note, A, E, G, F, so on and so forth. In Rome it was played among professional fiddlers only. The tambourine. Tambourines are generally hand-held instruments with a round wooden frame and parchment or skin heads. Metal discs or bells, called jingles, are inserted into the wooden rim. By striking the head of the tambourine or by shaking it, you set the jingles in motion. Rubbing your hand briskly across the drum head will produce a whisking noise. This instrument was used in religious contexts and used by traveling musicians and entertainers. Trumpets. Trumpets are sometimes played by the military to signal the troops, order retreat, or advance. The trumpet noises could be heard above the battle noise, which is why trumpets were ideal. Trumpets are a brass wind instrument noted for its powerful tone sounded by lip vibration against its cup-shaped mouthpiece. A trumpet consists of a cylindrical tube shaped in a primary oblong loop that flares into a bell. Modern trumpets have 3 piston valves as well as small secondary tubing that act as tuning slides to adjust the tone. Almost all trumpets played today are B-flat. This is the tone naturally played when the trumpet is blown. They have a range between the F sharp below middle C to 2.5 octaves above any at B, and are comparatively easier to play than other brass instruments. Not much is known about the Roman vocals, except that they sang in a very operatic style. Singing coexisted with popular songs, and Roman choral music was famous all across the Mediterranean. There seems to be a whole lot more known about other types of music rather than Roman music. It's very complex, but this is what we know.